We just want you to have them right now. Say what you want to say.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Charge Conference. If you are joining on the live stream, you're not going to see a lot of these papers and things that are passed around, but at least you will hear the conversation. If you want a copy of the Charge Conference reports, Alicia can send those to you on Tuesday. We have a scanned copy of this. Most of the leadership of the church has received this as a scanned copy. I have a few print copies because we're really trying to save paper, because I know that you are not taking these home and reading them again. So if you need a print copy, if you can share and all of that, I can give you one. We have some. I can go run more if I have to. So, Emma's been shopping at the library. Yay. Good. Good. Does anybody feel like they have to have a paper copy in front of them right now? Do you either have it on your phone or your tablet or somewhere electronic? Yep, and don't leave it anywhere. All right, we got a couple more. So anyway, I will turn this over to Bob.
I got this.
You got that? Yes, you do.
Good afternoon, everyone. Whoop, there we are, a little bit louder than we thought. I hate it when preachers run over and, don't just preach short. It causes us not to get out of here on time. So I apologize for starting late. There are a couple of different takes on how to do church conference. There are those cabinet members who believe that church conferences should be about 2.5 hours long, and should encompass worship and communion and conference information and education and sharing. And frankly, as I have said to other churches who have had church conference with me, since you're the next to the last one, invite me to something if you want me to do something like that, like you did today. Don't expect the church conference to be the end-all, be-all of the superintendent's ministry with you. This is supposed to be the connection between the annual conference and the local church through the district superintendent. That's why these reports are important, to affirm our connection. I've got other things I need to do today. You probably have better things to do than administration. Does that mean this isn't important? No, please don't hear I'm saying that at all. This is vitally important. This is what makes our connection work. But did you ever hear what Abraham Lincoln said about legs? How long should your legs be? He said long enough to reach the ground. How long should church conference be? About long enough to get everything done we need to and then go home. Amen? All right. But let's take just a spiritual moment. Would you sing with me just Sanctuary? If you need a book, I don't even know the number in the book. I don't even have it down here, but I think you all probably know Sanctuary. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. This business is important, but you as individuals are just as important. But the first piece of business we're going to do for Sarah, because we have to approve the 2022 church conference minutes and the audit from 2022. Did everyone receive that? Oh, that's the 2023 audit. This is the 2022 audit that would have been prepared in 2023. Okay, that's in there. Good. It's not the 2023 audit yet. Okay, all right. Keep moving it forward. So if so we need to approve the church conference minutes. That was from January 15th, 2023. And the audit would have been from March of 2023. Are you ready to vote on those? If you would approve that, would you please lift the hand? Any opposed? Thank you very much. We're off and running. The church is called to be in mission. If we're going to live out our discipleship, it means we have to go out and ask people to come and see. We need to tell them what's going on in our communities. So I'm going to ask for two things. And I don't want Michelle or Paul to be the people to respond to this. But what would be two ways that Central Church is being in mission with this community? Not within this building, but with this community at this time. Anybody want to say something? Tell me about that, and tell the whole group about that, and I'll try and make this work. You know, this is where my glasses thing just goes nuts. There you go. Thank you.
Who wants to say something about it?
Tell a story about it. Who's it reached? Who's it touched?
Tom. Tom's raising his hand.
Shepherd's Supper is the community meal, the free community meal we prepare every Thursday. And in 2022, they served over 8,000 meals. And in 2023, they served over 10,000 meals. The meals are averaging about 83 cents per meal. It's all staffed by volunteers. There's a cook for every Thursday and volunteers that come and help. And if you come on a certain night, it's as many Central folk as it is Our Lady of Good Counsel that come over and help us. It's all takeout, and it's a great thing to do, and I'd encourage everybody to participate.
Tom, those are great statistics. Can you tell one relational story out of that you know?
One relational story that I know?
Yes.
Nothing comes to mind, but I do. Oh, yeah, salad. Alex is the salad meister. Yeah, I take his position every now and then. And Alex, I believe, is going into the Air Force. He's a good council member, and he comes here and helps out. And When I'm here, he lets me do the salad because I tell him that I get rave reviews from the community, which is a lie. But he smiles as he walks away. Yeah, there's a lot of good people. And a lot of people from the UE school district show up because they have a participation in government class that they have to do something outside. It's called PIG. And we get those often. And years ago, when I would work in the dish room, when we had in dining, I used to work in the dish room with Dick, help me out with the Sprague, and Bill, played the saxophone. Anyway, Dick flew like 37 bombing missions over Germany when he was in the Air Force in World War II. And he would tell all the kids the stories of going out on the bombing missions and when he came back and how 50% of the people that he played cards with the night before were no longer around. And the kids would just, it was unbelievable. But
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the power of what you do in the community. What would be another thing that you do to reach out to the community?
I'm also loud.
Have to hear on the internet.
All 5 of our people joining online. So I was just mentioning the schools. We've gone to a couple of different like fairs and events and stuff that have been there. And it's not just the kids, it's the kids and their families who are becoming more familiar with like, oh, those church people. Even if they don't always remember Central or that we're on Nanacoke or whatever. But one thing that I really liked was when we did Pride Palooza in the summer, there was a young family who had come through and they were like, oh yeah, that church with the rainbow flags. And it was just like, ugh, I love this. So, I mean, it's something where we've been making connections over the last couple of years, but people are becoming more and more familiar with us. And we've been able to keep the mission projects going. I know Pastor Paul's been really big in that.
It is vital. You are Central United Methodist Church Endicott. You don't serve this church. You serve this community. And it's vital. And what is your community? I would dare say that your community is the world, that your community is probably in this nation, that your community is in the state of New York, that your community is in the greater Binghamton area, but all of Upper New York certainly is the annual conference. And, you know, your specific area is Central, is Endicott. And with the loss of First Endicott, that means that this whole area becomes really vital for your mission and ministry. So I just affirm that. Again, we continue to, as an annual conference, affirm Imagine No Racism. I just continue to commend that to you. Imagine No Racism is now in its 2.0 format, and it is a way, if you're one of those people that wants to grow in how we can imagine a world without racism, it starts with you, and you have to find some means to grow. I would love to tell you that it's the most comfortable program in the world, that you just kind of lean back and move through it, and it's spiritual warm fuzzies every week, and it's about the opposite of that. Because as a white person, in the training that I have done with that, I have had to face all the stuff that I have had to face. And I learned 2 things. Number 1, I learned I can change. And the second thing I learned is when I do that, I feel better. And the third thing I learned is it's not easy to change. So Imagine No Racism really calls us into that process. And I can't celebrate that enough. And I continue to encourage churches as they can participate in that process. I received that report online, so you might not find that in your packet unless you put that in there. So that's a report that comes to me online, and I will be looking at that as we move to the future. Okay, it's time for compensation reports and approval. One of the ways that we look into and do all of our work here is through the 2 appointed pastors having their compensation approved, not just by the staff parish, not just by the church council, but by the entire church conference. Your 2 appointed pastors, if you did not know, are Michelle and Paul. I hope you knew that. They are here not because they were hired by this church, but because they were appointed by the bishop to serve in this capacity. They both have 1-year appointments. A lot of people go, well, Michelle's been here 10 years. Yep, and she's been in here 10 1-year appointments. And she's been able to build on that work. I think it's important that we remember that for a couple of reasons. I always hit January as an appointed pastor, and I always started getting nervous if the phone rang because you never knew. But most of the time, I did know because of the love and the care of the churches that I served. I knew where I stood. Some the love was less there, and some the love was more there. And it's just the way life goes sometimes in the life of a church. Anyway, I did see that there was a 3%, 2% increase in compensation for both clergy persons. And Paul was choosing not to take that on his cash salary, but in the form of putting that on what we call his ARP, his expenses. So just for full clarification of that. He did not have any before, so this added him an expense account that allows him by voucher to have his professional expenses reimbursed by the church. And the arrangement that the United Methodist Church has with the IRS with that ARP, they don't have to be reported on taxes or anything. I can tell you more about that, but we're going to be getting into the weeds of income tax, and I try to avoid that at all cost. Go ahead. Sure. You're not on.
Well, this is on. This increase for the pastors only came after an increase for the staff. So I want to be clear that all of our staff received a commensurate percentage raise. We had been, in previous years, raising salaries 1% or no percent. 3% this year, the staff parish relations committee said we need to be keeping up with cost of living and we need to be paying our staff a fair salary. And then the conversation was that if the staff got a raise, they wanted the pastors to have one as well. So it was the staff raises that came first before Paul and I agreed to even talk about pastor salaries.
Both of those compensation forms are in the packet, either online or the copied packet that some of you received. Is there any discussion about that? No comment. You guys set the salaries. Tell your staff parish. But with those good feelings about Michelle, and I'm assuming about Paul as well, if you're ready to vote, if you would approve the compensation package, would you all please raise your hand? Any opposed? And it's done. I don't think either pastor, Paul doesn't take a housing exclusion, does he? No. All right. So we don't have any housing to be concerned about. It is now time for nominations. Did everyone receive a trustee's ballot? Okay. I've got it on here, trust me. Oh, okay. Yeah. Don't go by the checklist. I would have sent you the agenda. So if you would take out or look up the nominees for trustees. They should be listed on the ballot. Okay. So I need to know who we are electing for the trustees. So those who are up for election are who we need to read. They're both class of 2026.
We can also receive nominations from the floor if we would like to elect a third or fourth. We have 6 trustees. With Bill and Greg, we have 6 trustees. We are able to have 9. It would help. So we can receive nominations from the floor for trustees or any other position you might like to add in here. But trustees.
Okay, we're only doing
what we have-
trustees now because we've got to get this written one done.
Yep.
So it's Greg Wood and Bill Carmine are the 2 who are nominated. Are there any other nominations for trustees? Anybody just so in love with somebody else that they want to make them a trustee?
Who needs a ballot? Oh, I'm sorry. There's one. It's coming.
So if I'm not hearing any other nominations, so we'll proceed with the election of Greg and Bill. If you would affirm them, would you please write their names, class of 2026, on the ballot? And then I'm going to ask everyone to pass them to the center aisle, and then would you please hand them to Michelle or Tom? And then they're going to go right up here to Sarah. I don't know, I think it needs...
A sheet of paper. We're one ballot short.
Why do we have different written ballots for trustees? Because the state of New York, in its infinite wisdom, sees your trustees as its corporate board, and so this is to elect the officers of the corporation. So we have to do these written ballot. Sarah will then count them. I don't expect that the outcome is going to be much of a surprise. And then I will take the ballots with me, and they will be turned over to the superintendency assistant, and they will probably be there until Jesus comes. So, and I don't know if Jesus is going to want them. There you go. I began my ministry in Missouri, and in Missouri we just elected trustees. We didn't have all this written ballot stuff. So I just want to be clear why we have to do this one differently. The piece of trivia that I will tell you is when Michelle goes to General Conference later in the spring, she will be electing the trustees for the John Street United Methodist Church in New York City, because they're elected by the General Conference. Why aren't they elected by the local church? Because in 1836 they got in a riot over who was going to be the trustees of the church. And the church stepped in and said, nope, General Conference has to decide this now. So that's your piece of United Methodist trivia for the day. Let's keep moving. The nominees as a whole are before you. These we do not need a written ballot for. but we do need to elect your church officers.
You will see, or you did see, or you have before you, or you can have before you, if anybody wants to see that, that we are still discerning about our next lay leader. Since Jeff has begun his process of becoming a pastor in the UCC, we have a big hole to fill there, and we just aren't there yet, and we're discerning and praying, and that will happen. The rest of there are still some TBDs, but not many. So if anybody wants to take a look at that. I need it back.
This is on the page of administrative teams. You are also electing a new staff parish chair, a new treasurer. The United Women in Faith elect their own president. I would never be so bold.
Let me, can I run through some of these?
Certainly.
Some of the new names. So we are, again, the lay leader. We have filled in the lay member to annual conference. Because we have 2 appointed pastors, we can have 2 lay members to annual conference. Bev Casamano's name did not get added to this before it got printed, but Bev has agreed to be that second lay member to annual conference. So thank you, Bev. Our new treasurer is Terry Mahansky, who has taken that work on with grace and kindness. Tim Swindell is returning as our church council chair. Lisa Richards was here, is not, is the new UWF president. Look at Sherlyn's smile. Staff parish chair. Did I say that? I apologize. I didn't mean to make you church council chair. And coming on to Staff Parish Relations Committee are Pat Chandler and David Brunson, and we thank you for your service.
Are you ready to vote on your new church officers for 2024? If you would agree with the ballot as presented, are there any additional nominations?
We can fit you in if you want to help.
As far as I'm concerned, you don't have to be elected to help. Just come on board. Talk to Michelle, talk to Paul. If we can elect this ballot of leaders, though, as presented before the church conference, would you please lift the hand? Any opposed? And it's done. Thank you so very, very much. Compliance. I assume that you are, you turned in your Safe Sanctuaries report, and I'm grateful for that. Please, trustees, staff parish, administrative council, pull the policy out that you have established for this church for safe sanctuaries. Look at it, improve it, be prepared to follow through on it should you need to use it. What happens too many times is it's, oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. And then when something happens, nobody remembers what it says. So that 15 to 30-minute review of that policy annually keeps the church safe. Please be about that. This was an accessibility year study. I'm always happy with your ramp, and I'm happy that most of the places in this church can be accessible to everyone. I would just encourage you, where you have a no was checked on that accessibility study, look and see if it's a change that could be made. Maybe it can't be. There are some things that you can't change without completely altering the structure of the building. But if you can, do it. And then the next time you can put a yes there. Yay. I get excited about little things in case you hadn't figured that out. It is time for a celebration of ministry. Let me whoop it up. Come on. We celebrate today the ministry of Central United Methodist Church, Endicott. And we celebrate the fact that all of you, baptized or not, members or not, are serving disciples of Jesus Christ. Give yourselves a hand. Yay! We can't do it without you. We can't do it without your prayers, your presence, your gifts, or your service. Name me a church where people aren't living out those four things and you don't have a church. We celebrate the ministry of your elder in full connection, Michelle Bogue-Trost. We celebrate, and he ran out of the room, of course. There we go, serving away your local pastor, Paul Reed. We celebrate your ministry candidate. That's what I mean. Who is a student pastor who's not yet appointed, so still stands as a ministry candidate. Maggie. Yay! They didn't tell you I was going to do this, did they? No, okay. Just want to be clear. We don't have anyone to place before us in terms of lay speakers. Not there yet. Lay speakers was my next check off. And we don't have any certified or lay speakers to celebrate this day. Who is our candidate for ministry, and are they present?
Ray, and he is not yet here because he was at church.
Okay. And he is a candidate for ministry?
Yes, he is.
Good.
Do you want to do that now, or do you want
Yes, I do. Okay. So, it's part of the celebration of ministry. Go ahead.
There is a colleague in this district whose name is Ray Bartholomew. He is serving as a lay speaker at
McClure.
At McClure UMC.
No, don't say McKendree.
No, I know.
Just don't.
He has, there is a process, and you may remember the process we went through with Maggie, that whereby she met with staff parish committee to talk about becoming a candidate for ministry. She then met with the church council, who met to talk with her about candidacy in ministry, and then she was approved by the church council, or the church conference, for her candidacy. We are doing the same thing for Ray. Ray has been a member of a church that cannot have a charge conference for a lot of different reasons, and cannot complete this step of his process. This is where sometimes the rules and regulations are things we bump up against. Ray has been under the supervision of the District Committee on Ministry. He is serving a church well and faithfully. He has been through the candidacy process before and is re-entering that process now. So he transferred his membership to Central. Okay. He met with our staff parish committee, who asked him really good questions about his ministry and his call. And he has met the church council, who all were very welcoming and warm and open to his candidacy, and thought we'd save that for today. So today, what we are doing is officially recognizing his application for candidacy so that he can proceed in the process to become a local pastor like Paul is. Okay?
He has been a local pastor before, just so you understand. And Michelle and I went through discipline to be sure that we weren't coloring outside the lines, which Michelle and I both kind of like to do, but in this case, it wasn't going to be helpful to Ray if we did. The discipline says he has to be a member of a United Methodist Church for a year. Ray has been a member of a United Methodist Church for a number of years, so that was not in question. So him coming here is to help move his candidacy along, and he is so grateful for the support and the recognition from this church.
He had a wonderful time with church council last month. So that's the explanation behind it. It's really pretty simple. If you need to talk about that a little bit, we can, because I want you all to know what we're doing here. He is planned to be here today, but McClure's a long way away. So he may drop in at any moment.
In which case, we'll celebrate him at that point.
Right.
So It's properly before you. Are there questions? He's leading a church as a lay supply at this time. Yes, yes. What Maggie just said was, even though we are supporting him in this way, he will continue in that role at McClure. Any other questions? And there are no incorrect or inappropriate questions about this. This is important stuff. Hearing none, if you would support Ray's candidacy of ministry from Central United Methodist Church, Endicott, would you please raise your hand? Thank you. Any opposed? And it's done. Let's celebrate Ray. Yay! You have in this congregation, I hear from retired pastors that this is where, when I retire, I want to come to church. The problem is that it's about 80 miles from where my home's going to be when I retire, because I know where that is. And so I'm not going to be able to come that far. But if I were closer, this would be it. I want to celebrate today Roger, who played the organ this morning but had to go be with relatives coming into town. Horace, would you please stand? Mark, stand up, please. Yay! One of the things that I hear is that these retired pastors get to do whatever they want around here because the pastor doesn't tell them that they can't do anything, which is a really, really great thing. And that's a really great relationship to continue in the life of the church. Who is that? Leroy Floor. And we want to celebrate Leroy as well. One of the things that connects us is the fact that we do mission and ministry together. I know that Central Endicott does a great deal of mission and ministry, but we do it together through the Upper New York Annual Conference. I would like to make this presentation to the secretary of your church conference that celebrates the fact that in 2022, you all paid 100% of your ministry shares. There you go. Celebrate that. Not every church can claim that. I can tell you because in this connection, there were more churches than I would like to know that didn't pay a dime last year. All right? I thank you for your faithfulness. I thank you for your attentiveness in keeping that a priority, because it is the way that we are in ministry together. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have one bequest that has come before us. My understanding is that that bequest has no restrictions upon it. Is that correct? Yes, please.
The bequest is from Margaret Frederick. When she passed, her living trust had assigned $5,000 bequest to us. There are no restrictions. The trustees and Ray have been in conversation about what to do with that money. We've made a decision that's happy for everybody, and part of that library rework is coming out of that, and Ray is thrilled about that. So that is the bequest before us. The charge conference has to approve receiving that bequest.
You actually have to receive it.
We can turn it down.
And then the trustees, as the board of directors, take over in terms of being sure that the trust is managed the way that it was given to the church. But you all receive it. So if you will receive this trust, would you please lift the hand? Any opposed? Thank you very much. Thank you so much for getting your parsonage inspection in. Yes! So happy to see that. That's one less phone call on the list. Grateful for that. Friends, I have a few minutes. I am happy to take a few questions if you... No? I did see that. I am sorry I missed that in terms of preparing mine. So we do have second-year approvals, if I'm correct, and third-year approvals. Just second. So that list is in the packet. So the first question I need to ask is, if you've looked at that list, do you know of any of those people? Do you know where they are? If they are just names on a page to you, then we are appropriate in terms of removing them. Michelle?
In the newsletter over the summer with queries about, do you know where these folks are? What's happening with them? Some of these folks have turned up with no way to contact them. Some have wanted to stay, so they are not on this list. And so these are the ones sort of as we've weeded through these names and these lives that just are no longer even marginal members of Central. So, or who have agreed to be removed. Yeah.
Right. If someone has agreed to be removed, they come off of this list and they're simply removed. If someone wants to keep their membership and says, I want to remain a member of Central, they come off of the list and remain a member of Central. So these are the ones who have not responded, which is why I asked, does anybody know where any of these people are?
And I've got the list if you want to take a look. Okay, it was in the packet if you have it online.
Hearing none. So this is the third reading, which means at this reading they would be removed. Members? Second. All right. There's some confusion amongst the superintendents because they did change it to 2 years in the discipline. So they will come off this year. Now, try not to cheer about that, but yeah. One more piece of paperwork done. Yes, I know the feeling. Are you all ready to vote? If you'd approve this, would you please lift the hand? Any opposed? And thank you very much. We have now concluded all the business of this church conference that we need to do. So, as I said before, are there any questions that anyone would like to ask me as your superintendent at this time? Something burning you've always wanted to ask a superintendent and didn't have the guts to ask Mark? I don't know.
Could we have the results of the hotly contested trustee election, please? Okay.
Perfect. I got time today. I got some phone calls to make, but Kansas City played last night, so I'm good, okay? And we won, so we're really good. Coldest temperature in Arrowhead Stadium ever had, by the way. So, and I thought I was there. I was there on a day when it was 5 below, watching the Kansas City game play, and I thought, well, it's never going to be colder than this. Last night happened. So there you go. And of course, you all know they've canceled the Buffalo game. And I could say a word, postponed. Well, canceled from today. Yeah. What? Can't play in a little cold weather? Come on. Field trip, mission money, you never know. Okay. Thank you so much for your participation today. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for staying after church. Thank you to our one younger member who has had to sit through this. And I can imagine this was a whole lot of fun, but thank you. Thank you to everyone. Appreciate you being here. I have told, and Michelle knows this, invite me for something special. Invite me for a church school class, which I did here last month. Invite me to come and be at whatever you're doing. Would love to do that. My goal as a DS isn't just to come here and run a church conference. My goal is to see what I can do to enhance the ministry of this church. So please feel free to invite me. I'm calendaring 2 months out, though, just so you know. You know, if you got something next week, might not work, okay? Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Before we all leave, if you did not receive the packet in an email, but would like to, please let me know. I will put you on that list. I'll send it to you tomorrow. If you are on the live stream and, hey, y'all, meet Ray. This is Ray Bartholomew. Would you like to tell him or should I? No, go ahead. Ray, we have approved your candidacy for local pastor through Central's congregation and the life of this church. Can you say that again in the microphone?
Sure. Oh, okay. Yes. Well, I thank you, first of all, for your support, and I pledge to do my best to be worthy of that support. And as I was thinking down this ride, which took quite a bit more time than I expected, but I was just meditating on how God carries us, and that sooner or later we all need to be carried by God, and He is faithful there to do that. And so what a wonderful promise and blessing that is. Amen? Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much.
If you are joining online in any way today and did not receive the packet and would like that, we are happy to send it out. We were doing some paper conservation measures because we didn't know how many people would be here. So if you didn't get it in advance, but you want it, let Alicia know. You can leave a message on the machine or write an email. Remember, the office is closed tomorrow. And I just want to thank Bob for being here to preach this morning and for leading this order of business. We appreciate you, and we see you, and we thank you. This place into this world, as we go knowing that we are the church, as we go with a commitment to be the church, may you know the love of Christ that you are asked to share, and may you share it as widely as you can. Go in the peace of Christ. Amen.